Welcome one, welcome all, welcome to State of the Age. I am Austin.
And I am Mike.
With us today is Dennis Robinson, aka D2 Arts. And Dennis, would you mind sharing a little bit of who you are and what it is you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm a storyteller. I love story, and I am a illustrator. And in illustration, I basically do concept art as well as stories, and visual development.
So, what kind of stories do you like to tell?
Depends. I like to tell all stories. I think for me, it is like fantasy. I will say that if I was to put all the genres together, it has to have some element of fantasy, sometimes some element of like mystery or spookiness and things like that. Is kind of like the stories I like to tell, and just something that resonates with people, like something that can get someone to like engulf themselves in the world for a minute, and, just enjoy themselves.
You got any favorite stories, just in general? Nothing you have created, but any, just to give some kind of idea to the listeners.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Favorite stories out there.
I think my mind is turning right now, so I'm trying to figure out.
It's all good.
Well, I would say what pops up to mind, like right now, I would say I've been watching Wednesday, and so I like that, again, going back to that fantasy, little mystery, things like that. And then plus I'm a fan of Tim Burton's work. I like the way, the way he, it's his work, it's his work. Like a lot of times you have storytellers that, they don't really have a signature, but he does. So I would say Wednesday, and then also been watching Dan, which is an anime series that I'm kind of like. So you get what I'm saying? Like if I like it, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if I go by stories right now that I'm watching, it's definitely like Wednesday, Dan, and that loses me. And the new Aliens movie series on Hulu. And so but you get what I'm saying? Like I'm all over it.
No, that's completely understandable. When you said something has to have an element of mystery or spookiness or fantasy, the first thing that came to mind was Five Nights at Freddy's. I completely expected you to say Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, see, Five Nights at Freddy's to me it's more comedy and horror. To me, when I first saw Five Nights at Freddy's, which I enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's, and even what was that one? It was Nicolas Cage was in it. It was supposed to be something like, I think it's Willy's World or something like that. It was some.
Is that with him in like the bear suit? Is that the Nicolas?
Yeah. So it was. yeah. So basically, it was like Five Nights at Freddy's, but not Five Nights at Freddy's, and Nicolas Cage. I mean, the whole same premise. It's exactly the same premise, honestly. But it's interesting.
Oh no, I remember that scene. I know what you're thinking of, but the name escapes me.
I think it was Willy's World. I want to Google it, but yeah, go ahead.
When I think a guy in a bear suit, what comes to mind is Blood and Honey.
Why are you always thinking about the Blood and Honey?
Did I mention Blood and Honey last time?
You mentioned it like the first time talking about adaptations.
I'm not familiar with Blood and Honey.
That's okay.
Cocaine Bear, maybe, but not
Cocaine Bear. Oh boy.
Cocaine Bear.
Now you didn't get the inspiration from that at all? No inspiration from Cocaine Bear?
I completely forgot Cocaine Bear existed. To be completely honest with you.
It could be. I can see how people it kind of escapes their memory.
The premise is great. But
I'd like to forget, but I always remember.
Yeah.
I always remember Cocaine Bear. Anyway.
Everywhere I look, I see his face.
Oh man, that was good. It was a fun story.
That aside, what was your IPs about?
My piece, it's a couple, but one that I'm promoting right now, which is going to be doing a reading on Halloween, and it's about a young African American girl who wakes up in the middle of the night and her favorite panicking teddy bear comes to life and start blaming her for things she couldn't possibly have done. So after a heated conversation, a couple items being thrown, the girl decides to make the deal with the teddy bear and get him back into his original world and the other body because she believes it's just a dream anyway.
Like ghost stories.
In a way, I will say the other world is not ghostly, it's just otherworldly.
Okay.
I'm just trying
So,
just real quick. Just it sounds like what I just heard. It's like making a deal with the devil, but the devil is Annabelle in a teddy bear outfit.
Well, the teddy bear name is Magus, and he is possessed. And later down the series, you find out how he ended up in the bear.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. No lore there, I guess.
now, if I understand correctly, like you said, you released that book, and the book is a prequel to what you're trying to get animated, correct?
Yes. So Gwen Tells and the Otherworldly is actually, well, the lore behind that is I got a chance to pitch a cartoon series way back to Cartoon Network, and they felt like I got to talk to the guy and everything, and then he said he felt like the team didn't feel like it would last 52 episodes. So I was like, cool. But at the time, it made me realize that I was just making story for the sake of story, and I wasn't, telling a story through a book is different than telling a story in animation or a featured film, right? So it basically got my gears turning on where or how I want my stories to be told. And so basically I went through the early stages of figuring out, like at the time, like I loved Billy and Mandy. And I liked, again, that fun, spooky type of feel. So I wanted to do something for like the genre that I love to do. And so I started developing Gwen Tells. And so as I was developing the cartoon series, I was like, well, I don't have any animators. So I just got to get the story out there. So that's what made me think about, well, let me do a book. Like if you look at Netflix, a lot of comic book stories are being basically turned into movies or films or TV series. And so I was like, well, as long as I get the story out there, that's the most important thing. So instead of me just like, oh, I'm going to do a book of Gwen Tells in the Otherworldly and just make a book, how about I do a prequel? So actually it will build the audience. Like they will see the stories, they'll read the stories and then you get a fan base for Gwen, and then TV series comes out. But at the same time, people that start watching the TV series and they are a fan of the TV series, they would have some materials to go back to and read as well to, build that world.
So it's not a direct adaptation. So you're like, okay, I already read the book. I don't really need to watch the show. It's something fresh.
Right, exactly. So basically, how I did it was where the book series is Gwen when she's younger, and she is, preteen, and then when the TV series hit, she's in high school. So like, a couple of years has passed, and like one of the first episodes I'm developing is Deja Vu, because, I like dreams and how, some of my best stories come from dreams. Like I have a dream, I'm like, yo, that's crazy, because sometimes I dream cinematically. So it's like I'm picturing shot by shot what's going on, or however my, mind wanders when I dream. And so Deja Vu is always one thing that I always find myself like, oh man, it's happened before, or I had this in a dream type of thing. And so I wanted the first series to pay homage to that. Like, okay, after the things that happened in the book, in high school, the same way that Gwen met Magus in the book is going to be the same way she meets him again. And the whole time, again, she thought it was a dream, whereas people made her feel like it was and then the first episode is called Deja Vu.
Were you a fan of Inception by chance?
I won't say I was a fan. I watched it, I appreciate it, but I wasn't. It wasn't one of my favorite. Christopher Nolan did that, or directed that, right?
Yeah.
Was it Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, that wasn't one of my favorite Christopher Nolan films.
I know it was unrelated, but you said came to me in a dream, and that's what I don't know. I drew that connection.
No, well, I mean, I appreciate it. Christopher Nolan is amazing. So if that connection goes with a movie that's that great, I receive it.
So you said you already met with someone at Cartoon Network at Warner Brothers. So what are the necessary steps to get there in the first place?
So at the time, I was at the time they were doing like basically you didn't have to have an agent, and they were just taking on story ideas. Kind of, I feel like it was kind of like when I just came from Unseen. I was just had a whole panel with Cartoon Network, and they had Gendy all the way up to Rebecca Sugar, and when it was What a Cartoon, like they were taking unsolicited stuff. That's why we had Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog, all that stuff like that.
Oh,
was
wow.
Because they were well, I wouldn't say they were not unsolicited. Excuse me. You didn't have to have an agent, but they were trying to bring on new ideas. I forgot what the program was called, but I just did the paperwork, turned in a pitch Bible or a pitch basically, and you have your synopsis, your logline theme, and then like your synopsis or like of the shows and your episodes. So I actually wrote. Well, at the time I didn't, but let me go back on the timeline. All right, so I turned that in, and then he said that Shaver, I believe, and when he said he didn't last 52 episodes, because I was like, I didn't know anything. I was an illustrator. I didn't know nothing about a pitch Bible or anything like that. I was just like, okay, I know they need the story, they need the characters, they need the the ins and outs, the world building. But one thing I think that could have like persuaded them more is if I actually had some episodes kind of thought out so they can see the flow of everything. And at the time I didn't, but when he told me they felt like it wouldn't last 52 episodes, he gave it back to me, but more of a hinting like, hey, if you revamp this and try it again, you might have a better chance. But then by that time they stopped the program that they were doing. So that's basically, I was, this is before animation is as flooded as it is now. So it was around the time that they, there wasn't much access to how the animation world was. And so I think I was just going online, looking at things, and that's how it came to me.
Oh, that's amazing. I love stories like this where whoever we're talking to just showcases their passion for their project, and you don't get that. You just don't get that almost at all anymore in this industry. And Mike's heard me beat this horse. This horse is very dead. But
you don't get this kind of stuff every day. So like, it's cool to hear like passion to this caliber, and I respect the hell out of it.
Yeah, you say, I have this story in my mind. I want it to get out there, and I need to figure out how to do it. And nowadays, everything you're seeing is stuff pumped out by Hollywood for the sake of having something pumped out.
Oh yeah. I think one thing, even if I was like just talking to anybody that wanted to do their own stories, a couple of things I would tell them, like, let that passion drive you. Because even now, like when you talk to other creatives, they're worried about, first of all, AI, and then how everything is being regurgitated. Like a lot of things Hollywood is not taking chances. The reason why I feel like Hollywood is not taking chances is because, because of AI and other, like, the superhero phase was a thing. And now, that we have so many superheroes, now what do we do? Like, and Hollywood is scared, I feel like, because they don't know, they can't. Then we hit a bump, I guess what I'm saying for Hollywood. Normally, Hollywood back in like early 2000s, they would take chances. Like they would try something new, try different things. And now what we're seeing, which is interesting, now what we're seeing is a lot of indie, like because of the industry, let's say in animation, they are not, or jobs are not as frequent or as much as they used to be, or positions. So now we have a lot of indie films that are coming out, or those artists are coming together to actually create, interesting things, or Netflix is at least trying to do different stuff, like the K-pop Demon Hunters. Like that became a big thing, and it was a chance. Like if someone pitched that to you, like, oh yeah, I got this idea, it's going to be a K-pop girl band, but they're demon hunters. You'd be like,
oh, in Hollywood, that would not fly.
They would be like, so you're talking about another Buffy or something? You know what I'm saying? Like they're not, they won't be, but if they won't be so inclined. But if you talk to that to a bunch of like passionate, eager people that like, and that get it. Another thing too, I don't know if Hollywood just need fresh ideas or fresh people in places that can bring more new ideas in. That could be a thing as well. But I really do feel like, when it comes down to Hollywood, they're keeping it safe. And the reason why they're keeping it safe, that's why we're getting another remake of a remake that remakes the stuff that's like a year or two ago, and now they're remaking it again. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like not like a remake
of a remake of a sequel of some classic IP.
Exactly, and they're not. But then, hopefully, I'm hoping Hollywood like step up, or they don't have to, because when you see things like K-pop pops out, or Wednesday, like who would thought to take an Addams Family one character and make her more of a detective type of thing? Because if you look at Wednesday's other version, she was never a detective, right? She was never that. And so now you're using, well, I'm saying detective, but she's almost like a Nancy Drew, but just goth, right? so
well, if you don't mind me cutting you off here,
sure.
So what's always deterred me from Wednesday, I've never seen Wednesday. You could tell me something happens in there, I believe you. I know nothing about it. But when I see Wednesday show up on my Netflix feed, I feel disgusted, because it's just another. For me, it at first glance it looks like, oh god, it's another spin-off of some kind of classic IP, and it's just another result of Hollywood being too scared to take risks. So, the way you describe what Wednesday is, it sounds like it's not that. So, what's kind of your stance on Netflix not taking a risk in that regard and just creating a new character? Or do you understand what I'm asking?
Yes. Yeah. I think so. So I would say a couple of things. What made Wednesday successful, in my opinion, was the fact that every time we see Addams Family, it's always the family. We never get a chance to dive deeper in who that character is. If you look at the movies, it was always the family, how kooky they were. Something comes and, I'm trying to remember way back, comes in, like, has conflict with the family, and the family has to solve the conflict and be okay. Like, oh man, I'm trying to remember. Like the first movie was about, Uncle Fester was missing. They found him, and they found out that, where Uncle Fester was. This woman hypnotized him or whatever, but it conflict with the family. And the second one, same thing. It was with Uncle Fester again, but he gets married, conflict with the family. But with Wednesday, like you said before, is using an IP, but then they're actually bringing new characters in because of that. So it's not just Wednesday and her and the family. It's more like, no, Wednesday. I'll just do the synopsis. Well, Wednesday, went to regular schools and always got kicked out, and finally went to a school. It kind of puts me in a space of like the trope. So like a kid going to school with, magical things happening, or creatures, or different, not so much wizards like Harry Potter, but it's more of this can be gorgons, like a breed of gorgons, or, some of them are sirens. So it takes it to more monsters and creatures. But here, Wednesday is, and the audience is introduced to Nevermore, which is a school. And Wednesday first, Jenna Ortega did an amazing job playing Wednesday, in my opinion. She encapsulated, it's Christina Ricci, who played the original Wednesday, pulled from that character, but then still made it her own. And then she has the characters are contrasted well, where her roommate is very colorful, Wednesday is not. It's a lot of elements that Tim Burton, or whoever the writers are, which I'm happy that he brought those writers on, because he brought people that understood the Addams family core, but then knew how to write the story in a way that it's fresh for younger audiences, but then also audiences that are familiar with Wednesday. They're also joined in that as well. I was actually talking to another creator about Wednesday, and the first thing they was like, season 2 was better than season 1. I was like, for me, it was like, okay, I feel like I like the part 2 a little bit more, because it started landing things off. Like, you find out about Thing, you found out about this. Like, it's a lot of story elements that we never got a chance to see. So if you do an IP where you are basically expanding the world from what we know, I think that's a good thing. But if you're doing something like, I just finished watching Lilo and Stitch, the live action, with a couple of animation buddies, and we hated it. We all hated it. Sorry for people that worked on it. I know you did an amazing job, but it was literally some of the shot for shots with the same, like they didn't. I'm not going to spoil it, but some of the story was like their sister's whole point of being was taken away. You know what I'm saying? So it was like,
I know what you're talking about.
Or why make
kind of ruins it?
Right? Or why make Moana 2? Like, who asked for Moana? So some of these kind of questions I always ask, like, who's asking for these? No one's asking for these stories. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Wednesday was just something that I think, it fits Tim Burton's vibe, because he was part of the team. It fits his vibe. It works. He understood it. And Tim Burton is old enough to probably saw the original, Addams family, and then so he grew with that. So if you understand and you're authentic, I feel like the stories are going to win. But if you are just regurgitating because it was a fan favorite, like, again, I heard How to Train Your Dragon was amazing. Some people liked it, the live action, but I was like, is that really live action with 3D dragons? Or is it just animation with
people?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but I do get you.
I got you.
Saying, I do get what you're saying. Like,
so it's a very fine line, is what you're saying. And to add on to those live action remakes of classic animations, you're really stuck between a rock and a hard place. If you try to do something new with the IP, people are going to look at that and be like, well, what the heck? It's not, this isn't what I know. And if you just do, like you said, shot for shot of the original, it's like, okay, I can just go back and watch the better product.
Right.
So there's no winning, and when you're Disney, it doesn't matter because they're too big to fail. People are going to eat it up anyway.
Yes, or they own a lot of stuff.
Yeah, people are just going to eat it up. So no matter what, they're losing, but they're winning.
In a way, yes, I do agree. I think I definitely agree. Like they're not. From my understanding, like some of the new IPs they're putting out there, it's getting Well, it's weird because they make money, but because it doesn't, they feel like it's a flop because it doesn't make as much money as they would hoped it to.
Either way, they're
Like,
profiting.
yeah, they're still profiting, but I don't see that. That's when I don't. That's when it just goes past me because I'm like, this is your budget, but you made over your budget. But then you say it's not. Oh, it didn't make as much money as we forecasted, so it's a flop. So you'll have great shows or great movies that they won't continue doing because it wasn't what they forecast or how much money they wanted to, which is interesting to me.
So this kind of leads me into our next question here. In your opinion, how important is passion in so we're talking about movies, but in any kind of project? How important is passion in anything that's being made to entertain someone?
I think passion is very important. I want to say because, like, if you don't like people, I feel like people resonate with something that people know that someone put a lot of passion in it, a lot of work. And without passion, like if you're just doing something for the sake of doing something, then what's the point of doing it, right? Sometimes I feel when it comes to projects or stories or anything that's put out there, when it's just someone doing it really fast, like just to make a buck or because a trend is going on, so they're doing it real quick because it's a part of a trend, people won't have long lasting or longevity with it. It'd be like, okay, you would look at the show or see the project or view the project, like, oh, okay, that's cool, and then you move on. But then when you have somebody that actually put a lot of effort into it or actually like do a lot of passionate things in it, then it works. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it has to have passion in it. If you don't, like, even the smallest thing, like when people say that it's the same when people put their foot in the cooking, I mean, they put their passion in the cooking, it tastes way better than what it used to. Like, what if somebody was just like, I'm just gonna throw this together, put this together and hope it tastes good, right? But when people put love in something or passion in your food, you're gonna eat it up, right?
You can sense it.
Yeah, we can sense it. So if someone puts passion in their projects and things they want to do, then people are going to eat it up and they're going to enjoy it and they want to come back for more, right? So that's how I feel about it.
Kind of reminds me of, and also going back to, like the flop at the box office with movies. Like I'm thinking of Scott Pilgrim, like that film, it flopped when it released, but because of like the passion and the fan base it had, it grew a cult following right afterwards. So now it's like 15 years later since the movie came out, but there's still this dedicated fan base that still remember it and love to watch it over and over again, and that's what makes it worth it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a video game. There was a comic series too, right?
The comic was first, and the movie was based on the comic.
Right.
And then they had the game come out afterwards. But
then they had an animated series.
Yes, that's right. They made an animated series on Netflix. It's Scott Pilgrim the anime, which is actually pretty good. But it's the same story, but people will eat it up because it's something they like in another art form. But that's just kind of what I wanted to address real quick. It's just the way you're talking about the passion and where it comes from. Even if it's not like as big of a budget, it's still going to grow. Like it's still going to surpass what you want, and that makes it all worth it.
Yes.
What's very interesting about that to me is you said it's the same story over and over again.
Well,
I don't know. I haven't seen anything to do with Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I mean it is the same story.
Yeah, so it's the same story. People eat it up. I got to assume the difference between that and freaking Lilo and Stitch and Snow White is the fact that people actually love what it is they're creating.
But to be fair, it's not Disney. So Disney's done it a bunch of times. This is just one artist that said, let's do it again, but in anime. Yes.
I would say one thing about Scott Pilgrim that I think is slightly different because we are seeing different platforms or different styles it's going in.
Yeah.
Like Disney's animation and then animation again. This one is like you had the comic series, then we have a movie, and then we had a game, and then we had an animated series. So it's like it was 4 different ways of telling that story.
4 different mediums altogether.
Right, instead of, well, Lilo Stitch was 2D, but then you made it a live action, but it's doesn't work.
I got you.
Not for that one.
So it might actually work if Disney made like a Lilo and Stitch comic series. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun, actually.
They made a TV show.
They made a TV show, and I think
I know about the TV show.
I want to say it was a book first. I think Chris Sanders, who directed Lilo and Stitch, I think it was like a book or a children's something. Somebody told me it was a book first, and I want to Google it. I could be lying, but I want to say that it was a book first, and then Chris Sanders was already in the industry anyway, and I think that was the first animation he directed. And I think it's because he had a book first. I could be lying. But I think it was a book first. But other mediums. But not the movie.
It might be a lot of fun to have a Lilo and Stitch comic series.
I think anime style, a manga style. That would be interesting. I would like to see
manga. Yeah, I would definitely love to see that.
I'd pay money to see that.
So back to Gwen Tells. When did you decide you wanted to pursue something like that? Like, how old were you? What year was it?
Like, just the storytelling in general, or just like
when you wanted to pursue creating something, if that makes sense at all.
Oh, I was super young. I think after I got out of the phase, I think I was like 5, drawing like what I saw around. It was, I don't even think. I went through all the phases. I went through drawing what I saw, then I started drawing dinosaurs and then dragons, and then I want to say maybe it had to be when I started liking superheroes, started making my own superheroes, and then that's when it started making me love like storytelling. Then then it got into anime a little bit, and then, well, not a little bit, I got into anime. Not even.
There's no getting into anime a little bit.
Right, that's what I thought about. Phrase that. But I think it wasn't, like in high school, I think I used to draw all over the place and hang my work up like on my walls and things like that. And then from that point, it was like I was just always making my own stories, making my own characters and things like that. And then it just grew from there. Like I had notebooks of like all my individual characters and the stories they are and where they're from. And then I had like a whole bunch of worlds and stories. And then eventually I was like, well, maybe I need to do this like for real. Like, because my love of storytelling also started evolving with my drawing. So as I was drawing things, I was like, oh, whatever I watched inspired me, then stories inspired me, and then I started looking at the drawings that I aspired to mimic at the time, and eventually it started growing from there, then growing from there, then growing from there. And it wasn't until like basically sharing a story would have been Gwen. And I think, that's where I was in New York at the time, and I was like, well, stayed in Jersey, but I worked in New York, so I used to ride the New Jersey Transit, and I was just writing things down. And that's when I had the epiphany, like, yo, you don't have an animation team, so we need to make a book. And what pushed me was when I went to SCAD and got my MFA in illustration. I was like, oh, I can use this to be my thesis, like what I put out in the industry. So then learning techniques and things like that from these amazing teachers and illustrators that were in the field, they also helped me and guided me. So then as my artwork even got to the point where I'm like, yo, this is looking good. you know, well, good enough that
Yeah.
you know, because every artist have their like. I'm not putting that out there. Like I always put my artwork and stuff on social media, but I don't know, that was the story that clicked, and I think it was because, you know, it hit the tropes. You have someone relatable like Gwen, who is like everyone has been 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever the case may be around that age, preteen, and you know, everyone had that childlike wonder, like always thinking like, what if this is really going on? You know things are not it's not real, but your mind is like, well, what if it was? You know, things like that. And so I think that's when I was like, you know what, I can really start telling stories or wanting to give or share a story that might inspire someone else to get their stories out there as well.
I completely respect wanting to inspire others with your creations. In a way, I as a pencil and paper artist myself, I genuinely hope to do that to some degree as well. So, bunch of respect. So what were the steps to actually releasing that prequel book?
Yeah. So first, again, I was glad that I did it for my thesis, because then I was, you know, fourth grade, which pushes you a little bit too. So fourth grade, I had to research, like, because I wanted to self-publish it. So research all the different platforms and things like that. So to sum that all up, I landed on Amazon. And the reason why I landed on Amazon was because Barnes & Noble has that. You got Ingram Spark, you have all these other Book Baby, you have all these different platforms that you can self-publish with, but you have to think about the company has the wider net. So Amazon is the one that is more accessible, it's easy for people to get on there, it has a wider net. So once I wrote the book, a couple of steps, if I was to tell my like past self, is I would go with writing the complete book first. Then once you write the book, you have to hire a developmental editor, which is someone that's going to make sure that there's no loopholes, you know, the story flows. They're going to have notes, questions like, okay, well, what happened to this character? I saw this happen, this, but I didn't see where this was a setup, where was the payoff. So they basically they flush your story, help you flesh out your story. So once you're finished with the developmental stage, then you move on to the copy editor, which is basically the ones that's, you know, cross your T's, dot your I's, said she this on this sentence, don't be repetitive and say she each sentence, maybe use her name here. So they kind of like fine tune everything. And technically in the publishing world, like if I was with Random House, you will go with like 12 different edits. But 12 different edits when you're on a budget makes when you're tight on money, that's not a option. So you do as many edits as you can. So I went around developmental editing. I did 3 copy edits. So one edit, I forgot his guy's name, but then I went with another edit with Nola Bear twice. And one was with, I did a rewrite. So one of my friends, well, I guess you could say that was an edit too, actually read my book and was like, Dennis, like, here's kind of cool, blah, 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 but I think maybe, you know, everything is a little too easy for the character. I'm like, okay, cool. So then I did a rewrite again. I did a rewrite where I actually, and then also because I had a chance to talk to Random House, and one of the things that they advised me to do is because at first it was I think I got one here. Yeah. So it was this size. So it was huge, right? It was like an 8.5 by 11. And I had color on the inside, which when you're self-publishing, color is a lot. So Random House told me that I need to size it down, make it cheaper, because the point of it is to get your story out there. That could be like a special edition and things like that. So while I was redesigning, I also did a rewrite, and then got Nola Bear again to come and do the rewrite for me. And so, yeah, so it's that. And then once you go to KDP, it's KDP, I think it's KDP.com or Amazon KDP.com. And so that's basically what the part that you go through once you feel like your book is done. Like because I had a graphic design undergrad degree, I set up my book, and I got a friend to kind of help me flesh it out in InDesign. And so once you have the PDF, everything ready, cover art, all that, you go to KDP and you basically, go through the steps, fill out the forms. They give you a template to make sure that your book cover works. You upload your PDF, and you figure out, if it works. Like, they'll skim it and make sure it works and things like that. You got to set up what your release date's going to be. You got to put your keywords in and your categories, things like that. And then that you can easily find all that information online. But once you do all the logistics, then you do the KTP format and go through all the formalities. And then once you do that, you're ready to whenever your release date. And during that time, they always say try to promote at least 2 weeks before your release date. So that's when you go on, like, I got some setup things I'm gonna do on TikTok, things like that, or TikTok, Instagram. You're gonna try to promote your book as much as possible. And it's always good to go down cheaper than what you want the book for the first release. So then that way, people feel like they're getting the deal, being the first to pre-order your book. And the good thing about pre-orders is you want as much people to pre-order as much as possible. So when it's released, Amazon look at it as like if 100 or 150 people pre-order your book, then as soon as it's released, it's going to be like, oh, you have 150 purchases. Now you know how Amazon has their one top number one in this category, number 1 and 2 in this category. Automatically it jumps you ahead of the line. And so when people looking for magical girls or spooky stories or whatever, they're gonna see that as number 1. I'm like, that book's kind of dope. Let me check it out. So it's just playing with the system and things like that. But yeah, that's kind of like the process.
Long process.
It's a very long process.
I think the longest is basically getting the book done. Everything else is kind of like, it's just like just filling out paperwork. It gets easier.
It gets easier.
Yes.
So you said you have an undergrad degree in visual arts or graphic design. What was it?
Graphic design.
Graphic design. Okay. So for anyone watching who wants to get their foot in the door, do what you do. Do you believe graphic design degree of some sort is a necessity?
I wouldn't say it's a necessity. I think you can go online and they can teach you how to set up InDesign for books and things like that. So I wouldn't say it's a necessity. It was just that I got my graphic design degree because that's what it was only had 2 options in undergrad, and that was graphic design and studio art. So graphic design seemed to be the best option for me, on top of one of my teachers said I would be good at it. So I'm like, okay, let me try it out. It just so happened later on down the line that ended up helping me out on that time.
I've seen your art; it's phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
I'm really glad it helped you the way it did.
Me too.
Because I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Thank you. I am too. Ooh, a lot of work, but I love it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Had a blast talking to you. Mike, you got anything?
I'm just glad to see another artist. I love art, so when someone comes up with art, when it is books, short films, it's like posters, like cosplay, whatever, it's all under that like art umbrella. I marvel in it just because there's just so many different facets that you can explore with it, and so I'm just excited to see where you go with this. You can only go further.
Thank you. I want to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to share my stories and just talk about story and things like that. So it's always good to just share your stories amongst people that love story or storytellers and things like that. And I agree. I think art is one of those things that, you know, inspire people, which is a good thing. Like, you know, and then understanding how much work or the passion that people put behind what they want to share with the world, whether it's illustration or animation or whatnot, or just, you know, it's always gratifying to see how passionate that person is about their work, which also fuels you in your passion to achieve your goals.
That's it.
Couldn't agree more. Is there anything else you'd like to say to anyone aspiring to do what you do? To anything you want to say to our viewers at home?
Yeah. If you're out there and you have something to say it. Never give up. You know, that's the biggest thing. Like, you can be your worst enemy. Sometimes things will, you know, you got a lot of things going on, like work and all the other stuff like that can kind of, you know, blur the vision. But when those times happen, you know, all that does is build character. Like, you just push through it, continue to keep your eye on the goal. And even if it's just an hour or two a day, like, think about it, an hour or two a day, 7 days a week, that's 14 hours, you know? So it's kind of like, you just got to put a little bit of effort in your passion as a day as possible. And then always remember that the only time you fail is if you don't get up. Falling.
Words to live by. Man, words to live by right there.
Really? Dennis, thank you so much for being on the show, and best of luck in your endeavors.
All right, thank you so much, and I thank you all for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my stories.
Of course.
Have a great night.
All right, y'all. Well, take care.